I did a book talk a few weeks ago, and during that talk, which was, of course, about the rest revolution, I told a story that I had never told before. And since I told that story, I've been thinking so much about the little girl in the story, and the little girl was me. I recalled a memory of being maybe 3 years old, maybe four. I was small enough that I still slept in a crib, but I was big enough that I could get out of the crib on my own and go up and down stairs. And I remember being this little person, waking up in my room, in my crib, which was on the second floor of our house, and realizing that it was morning. And I was so excited for a new day and a new chance to see the people that I loved, who were my parents and my brother, and just see what adventures the day would hold. I just couldn't contain myself. I remember laying on my back in my crib, looking up and seeing the light coming in through the windows, that morning light, seeing the shadows dancing around on my bedroom walls, and just being so happy because, I made it through the night and here's a new day. And I was awake, but the house was quiet and still. And I quietly sat up in my crib and I climbed over the railing carefully. And I remember getting over the side and finding my footing on the crib, and then kind of propelling myself down to the floor, and then going downstairs. And for some reason, I remember having on one of those one-piece pajama outfits that's like a zipper all the way up and then it has feet. Because I literally was like, okay, I have on this little suit with feet. I'm in my pajamas and I'm going down the steps, slowly making my way down the step. And I walked around through the den and then down the hallway to my parents' room. And I remember my mom was on the right side and my dad was on the left side of the bed. And they were both asleep. And I quietly made my way to the left side of the bed, and I pulled my little body up into the bed, wrapped my little arms around my dad's neck, and I kissed him on the cheek, and I said, "I love you." And I said it quietly because I knew he was still sleeping. And then I got my little body down back onto the floor, went around, and these are all big movements in a way for me because I was such a small person. This huge bed, I go around to the other side between the window and the wall and the bedpost, and I climb up on the right side of the bed where my mother was sleeping. I put my arms around her neck and I kissed her cheek and I whispered to her, "I love you." And I think I may have waited a few seconds to see if either of them was going to wake up and register that it's morning and it's time to have this great day. But neither of them did. And so I climbed back down and I went back down out of the room, back down the hallway, around the corner through the den, back up the steps to the second floor, into my bedroom, pulled myself back up into the crib, and I just lied down on my back and just looked at the ceiling and waited until someone was ready to wake up and engage with me. I vividly remember that. I remember having so much pure love in my heart, and that is at my core who I really am. And I can see that little girl in my mind so very clearly. And I've been thinking about her a lot and how she was really the purest version of me. And I wonder, where did she go? Is she still there? Has she always been there? When did she lose that pure desire to just give love, spread love, not bother, but to show people that they meant something to her and that she couldn't wait for the day to begin, like with such an earnest, vulnerable spirit of pure, unabashed love. Not guarded, not afraid, not hiding the sincerity of her heart, but truly living in it with a boldness and an honesty. Like, where did she go? And when did she get the message that it wasn't safe for her to give love in that way and to be just who she was? I think that, I do so much work around high achievers, and I think back to my own journey as a high achiever and that little girl who at some point received the message that she wasn't enough just as she was. It wasn't enough to be loving and caring and to give love, because at my essence, that was what I wanted to do. At some point, she got the message that what she needed to do instead was to work hard, be helpful, and achieve so that other people could see her worth from the different medals she could win or tests she could receive the highest score on. That was what elicited a more energetic response, not the hug and the I love you, but the straight A's or the help around the house or the help in the world. That's what got the praise, the applause, the recognition, the validation, the affirmation that maybe she was looking for. I don't know that as a little child I was looking for affirmation or applause or validation, but just like a return, a return of that very pure offering of my heart, to just to give and to receive, to give and to receive, and for it to be welcomed, for it to not be a bother, for it to not be too much, but for it to be received and welcomed and taken in, devoured, drank in, to know that it was nourishing other people and not overwhelming them or annoying them. And so I've been thinking about high achievers in general and how many of us have been chasing worthiness through achievement because we never believed we were enough just as we were. So we threw ourselves into the work that led to validation, the type of work that other people could easily understand, even if that wasn't who we truly were. We were looking for our worth in all the wrong places, whether that was academics or athletics or even the arts. And then later, our bank accounts, the power we could wield, the fame we could earn and attract. But what if we decided to affirm that little girl inside of us who was loving and thoughtful and full of caring, at least in my experience? I don't know what the little girl inside of you or the little boy inside of you or the little they inside of you, how they were. But what if you chose to affirm that person who was you at your very core, whatever attributes that you feel like you held at your very core, your purest self, that purest little part of you, as John Mayer would say in his song, 1983, I believe. But what if you affirmed that purest little part of you? And what if we made that the work that we did every single day? What if we got intentional about reprogramming through radical affirmation, loving and affirming self-talk, and grace, giving ourselves grace? We are so hard on ourselves as high achievers. We nitpick our imperfections. We are impatient with ourselves as we're learning and making mistakes and making our way through each of our days. We don't give ourselves the patience and the grace that we would give anyone else that we love. And I think a part of that has been helpful. A part of that has been, or a part of that has allowed us to achieve great heights, because when we push ourselves so hard, we do get a bigger output, but at what cost? I'm really interested in this season of my life to see, what can I do? What will the ground yield if I am more gentle and loving and kind to myself? What will grow from gentle tending, steadfast support, better self-talk, more affirmations, a grounded nervous system, not one that is hopped up on stress hormones because I am punishing myself and pushing myself to get more done, to be more worthy? What would happen if I just honored that little girl who only wanted to spread and give love? What if I related to my current self as if I were her and I were gentle and tender and affirming? Affirmation has been something I've been really leaning into as of late. And I don't mean affirmation by way of, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am important, like the self-affirmation cards that you see around New Year's every year. I've been affirming those parts of myself that at some point I learned to hide because it didn't feel safe to show them to the world, right? The things about myself that in some ways set me apart and made me feel different, even though those are the things that inevitably help me to stand out. And so I've been working to affirm those beautiful parts of myself that somewhere along the way I learned I needed to store away, hide away, push to the back, so that I didn't ruffle feathers or make other people feel uncomfortable, or so that I could increase my chances at belonging to the group, feeling a part, feeling as though I am a part of the crowd, when ultimately that doesn't work, because if you mute the parts of yourself that are truly you, what is the crowd even accepting? Who do you belong to? It's not even you. It's not even a real you. So you still feel alone because you're not truly being yourself. And so I've been affirming my nerdiness, my spirituality, my need for deep alone time, my need to spend time thinking and writing and processing the world around me. I've been affirming that it's okay that I do things differently, or I have different needs than it seems like other people have, that I move I move at my pace, and it's okay. It's okay to have, this caring heart, and to wear my heart on my sleeve, and to be sensitive, and to be easily hurt, but to love very deeply. It's not corny to love, it's love. Who doesn't need more of that? Right? And so as I give myself room and space to experiment, grow, learn, make mistakes, I'm finding too that my stillness practices have been a huge part of this journey of self-acceptance and self-affirmation and self-love. I think I have like a 93-day streak on my sound bath app. So I do multiple sound baths per day, but I typically start my morning with a sound bath meditation. And if I don't get that in, I can absolutely feel it. But my stillness practices have absolutely helped me create room around my nervous system to help me slow down and process things and not get so irritable or impatient, or what's the word? Self-critical. I'm able to take time and space and see things in perspective. It's okay. We can start again. It's okay. So we'll be late today. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. Everything is unfolding as it should be. And I definitely credit the stillness practices for that. I think for many, many years, journaling was my biggest stillness practices, but having added the sound baths and meditations to that every day has really made a big difference. And if I lived closer to my favorite nature trail, that would just be amazing. I have still been taking little nature walks in my neighborhood, which it's not the same, but it's still good. Like, there are trees. I look at the trees and I listen to the birds and I try to feel like I am in the forest. By tuning my attention and turning my focus to the nature that is there, it does help me feel like I am experiencing more nature than like an urban residential environment. But I digress. I want you to think about, for this week, the ways that you can affirm that purest part of you, those parts of yourself that you have perhaps learned to hide or you've shied away from since you discovered in childhood that they set you apart from other people. How can you intentionally affirm those unique parts of yourself? In some ways, they could be your God-given favor, your unfair advantages, whether that's your intelligence or your natural beauty, or your way with people, your charisma, your ability to just pick things up very quickly and understand, your writing skills and gifts, your listening skills, your ability to be a good friend. What is it about you that you haven't given enough shine, even though you've known that you've inherited or you've had these traits since childhood? And how can you begin to affirm these unique attributes about yourself, especially if you are in a midlife season? One of the things that I have found in my coaching work is that, particularly around the late 30s, early 40s, people who have operated for decades as high achievers get to a point where all of the pushing and all of the striving and all of the grinding and all of the climbing and all of the proving reaches a plateau, and they begin to wonder if this is all there is. And so at that point, that's typically when they find their way to me, and we go through my process of really uncovering who they've been since childhood and what aspects of their core self have they turned away from, buried, let go of, or forgotten. And so one of the things that I hope that midlife high achievers can begin to understand is that those very things you tucked away so many years ago are the things that are calling to you to be reclaimed in this midlife season. If you are feeling lost or feeling aimless, without direction, without a sense of purpose in midlife, many of those clues to what you could be or should be doing now exist in that imprint of the former life that you led when you were that little girl climbing out of her crib, going downstairs to tell her parents that she loved them. So is there something you have shied away from, let go of, left behind, rejected about yourself, attempted to hide about yourself, not fully accepted about yourself? Because perhaps it's time to reclaim that aspect of your identity, and perhaps that aspect of your identity will lead you to the path of purpose that you are currently searching for and desperately seeking. So a couple of questions that I want to ask to help you think through this and perhaps journal through it if that's your speed. What if we related to ourselves differently? What would be possible? So if you are someone who has a very critical voice, self-talk. When you talk to yourself either aloud or just in your head, you're just very diminishing and critical and, oh, why did I do this? Oh, I should have turned left. I knew I made the wrong turn, and you talk to yourself like a curmudgeonly older person who is just annoyed at every little thing that you do. What would happen if you related to and spoke to yourself differently? How would that open things up for you? What if you chose to be patient with you and to affirm you instead of tearing you down at every turn? Life is already tough, right? There's already people who are excited to tear you down. What if you became your biggest cheerleader and the person who, hyped you up the most and told you how amazing you were? What do you think would happen to your life, to your sense of self? Another question: what did God uniquely bless you with in abundance from early childhood, right? What did God uniquely bless you with in abundance since childhood? And whatever that is, how do you relate to it now? Is it something that you learned you needed to hide or you felt safer hiding? Or is it something that you play up now? Is there something you were blessed with that you haven't given yourself the permission to make a part of your current experience? Why? Why not? What happened to you that told you it wasn't safe to show up as that person? And how is that impacting your life right now? I'll give an example for me. That little girl who climbed out of her crib and went downstairs and told her parents that she loved them and was just kind of always the thoughtful, loving, go a little bit farther to show people what they meant to me. I think at some point I got the message that that was too much. And when you offer up a part of yourself that is so core to who you are and it feels like it's rejected, that can just make you really guarded of yourself. And so my impulse is to be guarded. And how that has impacted me is I don't feel as connected as I would like to feel, but I know that's because I'm not as open, or I haven't historically been as open as I naturally am, like as I am around the people who I feel very safe with. Like safety is a big thing for me. And so if I feel safe, you get the whole world. You get it all, right? Like you get all the love, all the ideas, all the genius, all the support. But if I don't feel safe, it's hard for me to show up in my full capacity. And so telling myself that I'm safe, and even if I don't know that I'm safe, encouraging myself to try vulnerability, try being full-hearted, try it on for size and see what happens. And also affirming myself that even if I try it on and it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. I'll be okay. I'm still here for myself and I can still try again, right? Like one bad experience does not color the entirety of my experiences. I can try again. There are 8 billion people on this planet. And if I have a handful of bad experiences, that might just mean that I have encountered in community with the wrong people, the wrong 3 people out of 8 billion. But that's such a low percentage. And so I can tell myself, even if I don't feel safe yet, I can try again. And whatever happens on the other end of the trying, I will be okay. And I will be better for it, whether I get the result that I was looking for or I realize that I didn't die and I live to try another day. Like that is an affirmation I'm giving myself. I am resilient. And even when things don't go my way, I can get back up and keep going because the world deserves my purest, most loving heart. The world deserves the gift that God gave me to be loving and caring and thoughtful. Like, the world deserves the most pure expression of me at my core because it was gifted to me. So let me give it away. And so another question to ask for you, what aspects of your identity, yourself, your, abundant blessings are you now ready to honor without apology? And what is one small step you can take this week to honor it? So for me, if I am honoring that loving, vulnerable, fully connected version of myself, I might choose to send a note or make a call or send a voice note to someone that I have been thinking about, but maybe was too afraid to reach out to because maybe I wondered, well, I'm thinking about them, but are they thinking about me? And is it weird that I am thinking about them and we haven't talked? And would that come on too strong? Like, would that come across as strange or weird? Or there she goes again, doing too much. And instead of overthinking the impulse, the download, the natural intuitive desire for connection, what if I leaned into it and let myself see what's on the other side of being the little girl who climbed out of her crib and went down the steps? Like, what if I leaned into that and just didn't second guess it and saw where it would go? So that's an example of something I could do to lean into it in a small way, picking up the phone or sending a voice note that is heartfelt and true and not overthinking the impulse to do so. So what is something that you could do to honor that truest part of yourself? So just to recap those questions, what if you related to yourself differently? What will be possible? And what do you think you could attract or achieve if you just changed your self-talk, changed the way you engage with yourself on a daily basis? Number two, what if you affirmed yourself intentionally in a really powerful way? Like, you got serious about affirming the parts of yourself that you learned early on to hide or to tuck away. Number three, what did God uniquely bless you with within abundance since early childhood? Number four, what aspects of what you were blessed with are you now ready to honor without apology? And what is one small step you can take this week to honor that trait, that thing that you were gifted with? How can you give it away to the world in a small way this week? So that's what I have for you today. I hope it's helpful. I hope to hear from you if you listen to this episode, which is, albeit a bit vulnerable. I feel like I'm doing the most. Reach out to me, send me a note, and let me know that you heard it, that, it resonated, it didn't resonate, but you listen. That's all I ask. It doesn't have to resonate. But if you saw it all the way through to the end, I would appreciate a note, a message, a voice note, something. All right. See you next time.